This video is being presented to help participants understand how to read their annual funding notice and the information that goes into it for the Northern California Electrical Workers Pension Plan.
This PowerPoint presentation is intended for educational purposes only and does not replace independent professional judgment. Statements of fact and the opinions expressed are those of the presenter individually and, unless expressly stated to the contrary, is not the opinion or position of the Board of Trustees for the Northern California Electrical Workers Pension Plan, its sponsoring employers, or its professional advisors. The Board of Trustees for the Northern California Electrical Workers Pension Plan does not endorse or approve and assumes no responsibility for the content, accuracy, or completeness of the information presented. What information is on your annual pension funding notice? The Pension Protection Act requires all defined benefit multi-employer pension plans, funded and underfunded, to distribute annual plan funding notices to all plan participants and beneficiaries, labor organizations representing participants, and employers having an obligation to contribute under the plan, and to the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. This notice, while a requirement under ERISA, only represents a snapshot in time. Even with the required 3-year window on funding status, it may not provide plan participants with enough perspective to understand the health of their pension plan. The information on the notice is mandated by the Code of Federal Regulations, and pension plans may not alter or amend how the information is presented. The notices must contain, among other things, the following information.
The notice is required to provide identifying information such as the name of the plan, contact information for the plan administrator, the plan sponsor's employee identification number, and the plan identification number, whether the plan is 100% funded and if not, the actual funded percentage, a comparison between the value of the plan's assets and the amount of benefits being paid out, the total assets and liabilities of the plan for the current year and the 2 preceding years, the number of participants receiving benefits and the number entitled to currently receive benefits, along with the number of active participants in the plan. Information on the funding policy and allocation of plan assets under the plan, a description of the benefits that are insured by the PBGC and any limitations on benefits that apply, directions for obtaining a copy of the plan's annual report from the Department of Labor's website, and information on whether the plan was in endangered or critical status during the current year. All that said, many plan participants only read these 2 tables.
The value of assets is actually the actuarial value of assets. The actuarial value of assets is a calculated value determined by adjusting the market value of assets to reflect the investment gains and losses during each of the last 5 years at a rate of 20% per year. The actuarial value is subject to a restriction that it not be less than 80% or more than 120% of total market value. This calculation is made on the first day of the plan year.
The use of this smoothing technique is mandated by the Code of Federal Regulations and is listed here. Value of liabilities. Value of liabilities is the actuarial accrued benefits. In general terms, this means the present worth, expressed in a single sum, of the benefits yet to be paid for each of the 3 major classes of plan participants. 1. Those already receiving pension benefits. 2. Those who have separated from active service, are vested in their accrued benefit, still living, but are not yet receiving pension benefits. And 3. Those who are in active service and employment covered by the plan. For pensioner, the calculation reflects their actual payment in form of annuity. For separated vesteds, the calculation reflects the benefits accrued at termination, and for actives, we reflect the benefit accrued at the valuation date. This calculation is made on the first day of the plan year. Lastly, we have market value of assets. Market value of assets should be self-explanatory. It is the value of the assets as measured in the market. However, one should note this calculation is made on the last day of the plan year. But what are these two tables telling you? How does the value of assets relate to the market value of assets? The value of assets listed for January 1, 2019 was $563,307,131. Meanwhile, the market value of assets as listed for December 31st, 2018, literally the day before, was $534,571,230. Did the plan earn $28,735,901 overnight? No, as stated on the pages above, the numbers are calculated in two different ways. The value of assets is an actuarial figure. It incorporates the December 31 total, but also includes gains and losses from the previous 5 years. Market value is as defined above. It would be helpful to look back 5 years to 2014 when we had our last benefit increase, 10 years to 2009, which is when the most recent stock market rally had began, and then to the previous market peak in 2007. So below are the funding notice numbers for 2019, 2014, 2009, and 2007. Items of note, I would say, are if you look back since the last increase, liabilities and returns have kept pace with each other. Since 2009, we have had market value of assets have led on liabilities, but please note from peak to peak, liabilities do have the edge over our market value of assets. In the 2007 annual funding notice, the last year before the crash of the housing bubble and the beginning of the Great Recession, the plan ended 2007 with $512 million in assets at market value. In 2008, only a year later, that number had dropped to $347 million, and in fact dropped as low as $312 million at the end of the first quarter in 2009. The plan's assets did not return to the 2007 market value level until December 31st, 2015, a full 8 years later. Keep in mind that liabilities kept growing over that time as members earned additional credit years. In 2009, when the current market expansion had began, we saw the first of many strong returns to come over the next decade. The percentage returns 2009 to 2019 exceeded the returns of 99 to 2008, even when we exclude the 2008 plan year. The plan had excess returns for 7 of 11 years, 2009 to 19. Since the 2007 peak, the growth in liabilities has outpaced the real growth in assets 45% to 18.6%. Since 2009, the plan has paid $451.6 million in benefits, has received $202 million in employer contributions, and $497.2 million in investment earnings. The following slides were prepared by the pension plan actuary, who was to present them at an April 23 meeting at Local 6. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all travel and in-person meetings have been canceled. So this is the information that he was going to give to you on these slides. Current plan status. The plan has been in the safe
or green zone, since the Pension Protection Act was established in 2008. Pension fund assets earned approximately 17.26% during 2019, and the returns have exceeded actuarial assumption over the last 35 years. During 2019, the plan paid out $47.8 million in annual benefits, but only took in $28.7 million in annual contributions after adjusting for reciprocity. Investment performance helps to offset this historically negative cash flow. The plan continues to recover from the market crash of 2008, but has not yet returned to a 100% funded level. Approximate funded level, market value basis as of 1/1/2020 is 95.1%. Please note, regulatory changes may be on the horizon. This graph shows the historical net cash flow for the pension plan from 2001 to present. Two things to note. Number one, the growth in benefit payments, the orange bars that are below the zero line, have far outstripped the growth in contributions, the blue bars above the zero line. Also worth noting, though, is that the deficit in net cash flow has leveled off beginning somewhere around 2009. Let's take a look at the historical net cash flow 2001 to present in table format. You will note in the third column over, benefit payments 2001 to present, $656.6 million in benefits have been paid. The plan has earned $579.3 million, with a total left after contributions, earnings, and benefit payments, increase in fund assets of $184.4 million over that time. If we focus that table we just looked at from 2009 to present, we'll see that the bulk of the work was done. The heavy lifting was done 2009 to present, with $451.6 million in benefits paid in that time. Net investment earnings just shy of $500 million. Net contributions, employer contributions of over $202 million, with a total growth in the plan in the neighborhood of $248.2 million. Looking at the historical return on investment for assets from 1985 to present, you'll see that this plan has done extremely well over its lifetime. Only 10 out of 35 years have come in below the assumed rate of return, and only 3 of those years have actually come in with negative asset returns. Looking at the historical funded percentage 2001 to present, there's obviously a couple of things that'll jump out at you. You'll see over here, you got the .com bust, where our markets assets to liabilities fell sharply, and then down here you clearly got the housing bubble burst and the Great Recession began. You'll also note here at this second one that we fell below 80% at one point on our actual market value to liability funding, and we have been climbing our way out ever since. As I noted earlier, market value to liabilities, according to our actuary, was at 95.1% as of 1/1/2020. So we've come a long way from below 80%, working our way back, all the while paying out, since 2009, for sure, paying nearly $500 million in benefits. In closing, we should note that we do have potential regulatory changes to be concerned with. We fully expect to see an increase in the insurance premiums that go to the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. We're not sure what those will be yet, but we do expect them to go up. We are watching legislation closely, both locally and at the IBEW national level, on the adoption of more conservative funding rules or the mandating of any key actuarial assumptions. Those of you that were paying attention over the last year, I had mentioned that Senator Grassley had put forth a provision where our discount rate would go down to at most 6%. This would have a devastating impact on our plan and would take many years of corrective action. We expect to see a strengthening of the Pension Protection Act zone rules. That's the green zone that we're in. There's green, yellow, orange, and red. They may expect longer projections of financial status. So currently, we have to project out 5 and 7 years, depending on what we're looking at. They may try stress testing to make sure that we have enough assets on hand to make benefit payments. We do. They may increase the steps a plan must take when it begins to show signs of a financial hardship. So currently that may mean we increase funding, not knowing exactly what to do, but we can imagine that they'll make sure that we have to jump through as many hoops as possible. Establishing new upper tier zones for very healthy plans, which will be subject to fewer restrictions. So if you're an overperforming plan and you're well funded, some of the requirements, some of the more stringent requirements might be forgiven. So I hope this information has been helpful. That's probably more than some of you wanted, but it is important nonetheless that we try and get you as much information as possible. Thanks.